Hi, and welcome back to your Wednesday Akashic Records reading. My name is Kirsten. I'm an Akashic Records channel, and I'm here in the Akashic Records for you today to see what soul guidance wants to come through in support of your week. How have you been doing this week? It feels like the intensity keeps growing. It feels like these deaths and rebirths happening with everyone, and it just seems like a lot in general. So I hope you're taking good care of yourself, listening to what your body needs, resting, all the good stuff. And so without further ado, let's just jump into the records. And I would love to hear what resonates with you below from the messages that come through. Let's begin, shall we? I see you as a sheep, and you're part of this larger herd. And there are all these border collies around that have been nipping at your heels, keeping you corralled with the other sheep. And for the longest time, they've just been kind of like this presence that you just assume is always going to be there. And so you comply. You let yourself be nipped at the heels, crowd closer to the other sheep, and you don't stop to look around at the larger field around you. You're focused on eating the grass before you. You're focused on the warmth of the other sheep and lambs that are surrounding you. This community. But then you look up and you realize that your wool is a slightly different color. You don't feel like you really fit in with these sheep anymore, and yet you're still being herded into this same flock over and over and over again. And you're starting to get a little bit annoyed because something is waking up on you where you feel different, right? You feel like this black sheep, but you've been part of this flock for so long that you haven't had a chance to really discover what else there is. And as you start to look up, you notice that there are these other sheep, the same color, similar colors, but they're really just the sheep that don't match the rest of the flock. And they're scattered throughout this huge expansive field. You can see little dots of different colors in the distance. And you know that these are these other individual sheep. And they're starting to gather into their own group. And you look at these dogs that have been hurting you because you have been scared of them. And you look at them and these big hulking beasts that you thought were stronger than you look at them and you realize that they're not. And they're also very distracted with all of the other sheep. So it feels like there's this chance to stand up for yourself, to sneak out of the herd in search of the sheep that match you more deeply, for lack of a better word. Right? It's like those other sheep that you feel drawn to, the ones that are going out on their own, the ones that are exploring this wild beyond this fenced in pasture. And so the question is, are you going to continue to let the dogs nip at your heels and herd you back into this, safety of this flock? Or are you going to allow yourself to explore more into the unknown, to these wilds that you've always been in this small little paddock? But there's so much of the world outside that, and there's other sheep too. And you were always meant to start out in this community, in this flock. You were meant to be nurtured in this flock. And you were meant to start to parse through the things that were handed down to you that maybe you started to question, the things that didn't quite fit, that you tried out like a shoe that doesn't fit. And I just see these two piles. You're starting to place these beliefs and patterns, behaviors, that resonate with you in one pile and those that don't in another. And it's becoming very, very clear. And it's becoming very clear where the rest of this sheep in this flock land. And there's no judgment there's no judgment about that, I should say. Right? This flock of sheep, they're very happy being herded. They're very happy just following the rules, following the rest of the group. It's almost like letting the decisions be made for you rather than standing out and deciding that you want something different for yourself. And that's where you are right now. It's been building up for a while and you've been seeing these little glimpses, but now it's so clear and you can't just look down at the grass in front of you anymore. You have to look at the wider environment. Just like when we were kayaking down that river. Except now it just feels very much like it's all about the relationships and the people you surround yourself with. Those who are on similar paths, who are blossoming in similar ways. And yes, everybody has their own path, right? And theirs may look completely different, but I think it's the connection point is the soul evolution. The desire to follow something greater, to follow something different, to release the status quo and everything that you've been told to kind of keep you in this very small paddock. When the wilds are all around you. And so tune in with your heart space. Start to send out the signal to those other sheep. Just because you leave this flock doesn't mean you're not going to find another. And this one, it feels like instead of being the one that you were essentially born into, this is the one where people are gathering by choice. Because they feel the heart resonance. They feel that by working together and supporting each other, you're all working towards the common goal of coming back to your authenticity, your soul gifts, what you were meant to share in this life. No longer self-sacrificing, no longer putting your needs last. That is so important. For you to really be in tune with your needs, your beliefs, those behaviors and patterns that you want to carry forward and those that you want to leave behind. It's the choice point, right? Last week we're stepping through the door. This is another version of the door, but it feels like it's going into this deeper level around relationships. The last image I see is how, the sheep, they're shorn during, I don't know what season they're shorn, but the season that they're shorn. And then the wool grows again, and then they're shorn. And it's just kind of like this building up and releasing and building up and releasing. And the image that I'm getting is that with each building up of the wool, it becomes finer each time. And then it is cut away, and then it becomes finer and finer and finer and thicker. And every time I see it growing in again, it's more colorful. You started as this white sheep, and now I see just bits of rainbow and different colors and grays and blacks. It's like your own pattern. And so each time you're able to shed that layer of wool or shear it off yourself, just know that what's going to grow back is going to feel more you. Like you're cloaking yourself in your own beautiful energy, and that what you wear on the outside in that way, it's this beacon to the other sheep because you can see them in their true colors too. But it feels like it's very much this manifestation of what's going on in your inner world, your energy, that beacon, that signal, that's your authenticity that's beckoning to your soul family, your community. And so let yourself be the rainbow sheep. Let yourself wear it proudly. It's time to step out of the herd and find another. And you're going to see them in the distance, and it may seem like it takes a little bit of time for you to all gather, but you're meant to. You're meant to do a little bit of exploring first. You're all going to be exploring all these different places within the wilderness. And then when you come together, you'll be sharing those experiences. You'll be sharing your favorite watering spots, right? Everybody is drawn to a different environment, and then you bring that all together for the whole. So start exploring. It's about time. And just know that you were so incredibly supported through this. As long as you keep wearing your authenticity on your sleeve, as long as you keep shining that rainbow wool around you. And know that when you do this, there may be some in that former flock that also start to change color too, and also start to step away from being herded into that group. And that's what's coming through today. I would love to hear what resonates with you below. Please let me know. Thank you so much for being here this week. And if you feel called to work deeper on a deeper level in your own Akashic record, DM me and let's chat. I would love to support you on your journey as you're finding your flock. Have a beautiful rest of your week, and I'll see you next week.